Mm-hmm. So we hope we're going to be done with the scanning today, maybe, at the end of the day. What do you guys think?
It's a really hard question to answer. We need to.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're going to be side scanning until we find something that's worth that we can
Diving.
recognize and dive on. So it's not really a set time for when the side scan's over.
Yeah, I know you that are following us are as excited as we are to find something to send Herc. We feel you.
In the age of instant gratification, we don't
Ab-
have any of that here.
Absolutely. This is a very good therapy to kind of.
Gotta actually stick with it.
Uh-huh.
It was like we were out here and there was, you know, when you try to think of something, whether it's like a movie or a song, and you can't remember, like, you remember like a line of lyrics, but you can't remember what it exactly is. I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to think of that the other day, and we were on land, so I wasn't connected to the ship's small amount of Wi-Fi that we have, and I didn't have a cell signal, and I could not look it up, and it really annoyed me because, you know, everything else you just look up and immediately you have the answer.
So you threw a tantrum.
But yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, when I started going out on research ships, they didn't have internet
Yeah, I know.
at
And
all.
when I do like research projects, I
Yeah.
have to actually have to look in books and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what is
Do
this?
the cutters have connectivity?
Yeah, we have internet, but not Wi-Fi that anyone. You can't connect your phone.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like the workstations that we need for paperwork and logging and stuff.
So that's similarly frustrating.
Oh yeah, we actually have internet courses, we call them, because our internet connection, as opposed to the giant sphere that we have on board, it's actually just another antenna on the mast.
Yeah.
And so at certain courses, the mast, a big metal piece, is in between the antenna and the satellites. So we get no signal if we're driving certain courses.
Yep, that was so. Nautilus had that issue for a while. Where the satellite dome is used to be a mast, and the satellite was behind it. So if we were going a certain direction, it would block out the signal. And so we were doing work in the Mediterranean. I remember a lot of people on shore were getting upset. They're like, "Well, don't go on that course." I'm like, "I can't. We have to go into the wind to hold position." I'm like, "I can't change. You know, I can't hold position in a different direction." So, but then they cut that mast off and put the satellite dome up, so we haven't had that problem since.
Yeah. It's definitely aggravating, especially when we're on long transits.
Yeah.
We got called for a case, and so we're, you know, making best speed directly for it. You're not gonna, you know, do zigzags while you're trying to
just to give you guys internet.
go rescue people, but at the same time they're trying to get communications with sector and with all of our land-based intel of what's actually going on, and it's very aggravating when you're headed there but you can't get any extra info because your mast is in the way.
So the team did some research on the possible currents that could have moved the wreck, and that was not a possibility, right? Or not significantly, at least.
Well, no. I mean, there are currents in the area, and we know what the currents were, at least on the surface, the day of the crash. And so, yeah, the debris field is likely spread out due to currents and the deep water, so there's time for things to move before they hit the bottom. But there's not a very strong current, like we don't have a loop current or a Gulf Stream or something like that. So we do expect that it's settled in the general area that the crash occurred.
And it's with that information that you decided to scan the grid that we're scanning right now, right?
Yeah, we placed this grid for survey around the point, the reported location of the crash. Yep.
So I went to this interaction a couple minutes ago, and the kids were asking about what was the most amazing creature that we have seen so far in this expedition. And I was like, well, the pelagic sea cucumbers.
Yeah.
We're describing them to the kids,
But
and
they would count even if they weren't the only ones we'd seen.
Yes, of course.
We might have seen some sort of cephalopod. I'm going back through some of the images.
Oh yeah?
Looks like there's something orange with curled up tentacles,
I remember that.
like hiding.
Yeah, I remember
like
seeing that. Yeah.
When?
Like
It was just for a brief
few
instant
watches ago,
on
it
one
was
of
a
our
while back.
watches.
Yeah, we counted a squid the other day.
Yeah, we counted it as a squid on the bingo card,
All right.
Cool.
so it makes it official.
But you know what I said?
What did you say?
I said that you were the most amazing creatures that I've seen. I told him that this was my first expedition, and that even if looking at the scan can seem boring and stuff, I am very thankful that I got to enjoy it and be patient and bear with you all.
Oh yeah.
That's when you say, oh.
Aw. I mean, I feel like we've probably seen a good amount of stuff that we just haven't realized because it's just looked like a rock or a dark blob. But if we got closer, it'd be a lot more interesting. But again, not the mission.
Next week.
Yeah, next cruise, if you're interested in the biology and close-up images and stuff like that. Or go on YouTube and watch some of our dives from the previous cruise.
Nice.
What is the target aim on high pack?
The target... Oh.
There's like a little mark.
I believe that was what Miles dropped. That was the end of that line that we did northwest to where he was aiming for.
Makes sense.
So we have a question about if it would be beneficial to drop something with a marker or a GPS locator from the spot that we believe the airplane crashed.
No, I mean, we've done a whole survey over that area. It's a reported location that was estimated based on where witnesses saw it go down and where debris was recovered. So it's not a known spot that the plane crashed. So we need to try to find where that exact spot was. And so it's not that we're having trouble finding the reported position. We're having trouble. It's not that the plane wasn't exactly where it was reported to crash, and that's common in, it was in the 1930s. So it's not like they took a GPS point when it crashed. Yeah. So no, we're trying to find the wreckage in the vicinity, but putting down I wish that there were a transponder on the wreck because we could then go find it, but we need to do the survey so that we can find the exact location.
So if we do find the wreck, we wouldn't be dropping a physical marker then, correct? We would just mark it in the map.
We'd get the coordinates. We'd mark it in the sonar. Would mark it in HiPAC, and we'd dive on it. Yeah.
Bridge nav. Request we track a line bearing 002 at 1 knot, maintaining ship's heading. Thank you. I'm gonna try something new.
Nouveau system.
See if it'll spin us around quicker.
Bobby Argus.
There's a rock.
Yay. What is that? Do you see that?
Looks like a polychaete worm.
Nice little thingy.
I just realized I'm not going to get to finish this turn.
Oh.
Yep, there he is. Here to ruin it.
This is great. It's almost time for a switch. Switching watch. Yeah, so before I go, just reminding you guys that are following us that we are surveying the area where the crash of the Samoan Clipper was reported. It is 2 square miles grid that we have been scanning with a little over 50 target points tagged for future further exploration in the next couple of days. Good morning to the new watch.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's good that we get to overlap for a little bit. So now Maddie is here. I'm gonna go. Goodbye, team. See you in 8 hours.
Goodbye.
See you, Valeria.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Mary.
I just sat down and for some reason my first instinct was to like reach for a seatbelt.
Because this is going to be a wild ride, this watch.
Ooh, buckle up, kids.
Beans. There's always beans.
All right, Dee Dee, I am updating the status here on the webpage, and what's the latest? What are we doing?
So we have spent most of the night transiting up from the southern part of the survey area, and we are now in the northern part of the survey area. We have completed 17 of the 21 plan lines, so we have 4 left. We just finished line 17, and the ship is making its turn with Argus following behind to start our next line, number 18.
Cool.
And at this point, we have 56 targets that have been located and marked.
Perfect. So what we left last night and had 40.
Oh, you always ask that, and I just
48, 45.
49 was the last one that this watch marked.
49.
There you go.
So, fun fact, we dropped the 56th target on the 56th hour of our dive, and the 56th minute of that hour.
What?
So don't trust that target. That was just like a...
What was it? 0.56 minutes.
I just think you were very bored last.
And there was an accident. It wasn't on purpose.
Okay.
The old sunrise spotlight.
All right, for those of you just tuning in, we've switched watches. It's now the 8 to 12 crew. And as Dee Dee just mentioned, since we last were here, the other two watches spent most of the night transiting from the southern to northern part of the survey area. We've completed 17 of 21 planned lines, and at this point we have 56 marked potential targets. So we're hoping to finish up those extra 4, or not extra 4, but planned 4 lines today, maybe by this afternoon or evening. And then get another reading of some of those potential targets just to have a different viewpoint on them and go from there. Welcome, welcome. I had 2 ship-to-shore interactions this morning. One of them was with a STEM camp at UCSB. And there were, I think, 40 8th grade girls there, all interested in STEM. And they had some pretty tough questions. And then Alyssa and I did another one right before that with a team of teachers at URI from the Inner Space Center.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah, and they were super interested in how you got to where you are.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. It's cool to see all people from around the world asking about how to get involved in similar paths.
So something I learned on our last watch was, did you know that our data logger Rebecca is related to Ed Music?
What?
Yeah, and she's on this cruise by chance, not because she's related to him.
What's her relation?
It's like some shared relative, not super close, but
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something like his great-great-great-great-grandfather and her great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. But yes, they are related.
Wow, full circle. That is really, really cool. And we have a birthday on board today, so we're hoping, don't jinx it, but maybe it's a lucky day.
Yeah, Mike didn't tell us that during the watch.
Oh, he didn't?
No, I didn't know until
Wait, which Mike is it?
Mike Brennan.
Brennan,
okay.
yeah.
I only saw Happy Birthday Mike, so
yeah,
didn't know.
Well, he knows exactly what he wants for his birthday, so
yeah.
it's up to us to get it for him.
Was it a marshmallow and Skittle cake?
Nope.
No.
Looking at our world map, we have more of the world awake than when we were last here. The United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Turkey, Russia, Israel, Denmark, Bermuda. I haven't seen Bermuda on our watch yet. Belgium, Barbados, and Austria. So welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Ask us some questions. Alyssa, I really wish you were in that second interaction because they had a majority of their questions were about ROVs. And Valeria and I were both kind of like, well, we are
What's up? You sure come and grab me.
Yeah, we're no ROV experts. They wanted to know what are ROVs primarily made out of?
Well, you have to have some flotation, so you have some sort of material for that. So on Hercules, like the yellow portion,
And then it's a combination of metal, some plastic. It really depends on how deep you want to go too. What materials can survive thousands of meters of depth as well.
Hockey pucks.
Hockey pucks. Are they, what kind of, are they made out of a metal primarily? I know there is some plastic on there, right?
You mean the ROVs?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's metal and plastic. And there's all sorts of everything in between. It's like, what's a car made out of?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's metal, there's glass, there's...
Everything?
Plastic, yeah. All sorts of combinations of stuff.
So maybe the question is, what isn't an ROV made of?
Did you say animals?
Okay, no animals.
After sampling, kind of.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wood. It's not made out of wood.
Except for the tiki.
Oh, except for the tiki, the most important part.
What's the primary metal of the frame?
Depends on the ROV. Argus is stainless steel, and Hercules is aluminum.
And Hercules is neutrally buoyant, right? Did I make that up?
You did not make that up. Herc floats real neutral-like, so it doesn't go up, doesn't go down, more or less. That's because of the big yellow floaty bit up top. Syntactic foam, it's called. It's a bunch of tiny little bubbles of tiny little bits of air potted in, we'll call it an epoxy, and that holds all the little glass balls in place and provides that positive buoyancy to counteract the weight of the metal.
So it'll be neutrally buoyant no matter the depth?
That's right, yeah.
Oh.
Wow, yeah, so temperature and salinity changes don't really affect that.
Salinity does,
oh, okay.
But not enough to matter. Yeah.
So apparently, like the bubbles or the air pockets in that foam are uncompressible, so that they doesn't change.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you go past their depth reading, and then they will press catastrophically.
Really quick.
Then the junction boxes also have oil in them too, so that when we're at pressure, they don't implode. So by having the oil, it keeps everything happy when we're down deep.
Yeah, I guess that is another ingredient of ROVs, oil.
Wait, wouldn't that be made from animals?
Dinosaurs? Mineral oil, right?
Oh, mineral oil, okay.
Oh, yeah, it is mineral oil. Environmentally friendly.
So there's vegetables on ROVs.
Reminds me of a drawing of how a plane works. The magic, some more magic. Yeah.
S'more magic?
Some more magic.
Like marshmallows and graham crackers?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had another question earlier this morning, and that was, what has been the most interesting thing you've seen on this leg so far? And I was like, well, I've seen a lot of sea cucumbers.
I think that answer speaks for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Trinidad and Tobago on as well. Cool, cool. And Greece. I don't think I said Greece earlier.
I'm sure we would see much more things if we were a little bit closer to the bottom.
That's true. We're about 15 meters off the bottom.
Correct.
How many more hours of scanning are left? Well, I guess that sort of depends on how quickly we finish up these next 4 lines. So we've done 17 out of 21 planned lines. So I think, Dee Dee, we figured each line is about 2 hours, give or take, depending on...
Yep, so that leaves 8 hours for the lines, not taking into account the turning time in between those.
All right, so here's a question. Is there a way to tell the difference between a school of fish and a bunch of rocks? And I guess that probably depends on the type of sonar you're using, right?
That's a good question. School of fish show up as lots of little dots in a concentrated ball, as they would swim for the most part. The really interesting part of seeing schools of fish is when they're directly underneath. They show up in the black area as just little specks. You know, I don't think we've seen, well, we're too deep, but if we were shallower, possibly we could see schools of fish that are picked up by the sonar.
And also, Mike mentioned the idea that a school of fish would be in the water column, and it would show up with the kind of the black shadow area separated from the brighter spots of the fish.
Oh, so you'd be able to see their
shadows.
shadows.
If it's suspended in the column, it wouldn't be connected. Like if it's an object resting on the bottom, it'll appear to have a shadow that's connected to it on the opposite side from where the scanners are, or the transducers are.
Yeah, when we're fishing in Alaska, we use the depth finder. Well, we call it the depth finder. But you can see schools of fish like little polka dot balls. And then if you have a big fish, like a salmon, my dad always calls them the bananas because they're bright yellow and kind of banana looking. But a different sort of sonar.
If viewers are interested at seeing samples of side-scan sonar imagery of planes and tires and anchors and shipwrecks and all that, just do a great Google internet search on side-scan sonar imagery, or some of the manufacturers, EdgeTech and Klein, will post their best ofs. So they're really interesting to look at online.
We also just had a question pop up. Do they get many earthquakes near American Samoa? And we've looked into this a little bit during this, like, some American Samoa and Samoa are in a region, I believe it's called the Samoan hotspot, and it's a volcanic hotspot, obviously in the South Pacific Ocean. And so it is pretty volcanically active. I just did a quick Google search, and it looks like there was a 4.9 earthquake at 3:09 a.m., so just about 5 hours ago, and that was 124 miles from Samoa. So it is active here, and as we've seen on the bottom of the ocean, some basalt and carbonate rocks, which are also indicative of volcanic activity in the area. I believe the last recorded volcanic eruption of sorts was in the early part of the 20th century, so over 100 years ago. So in all, we have marked 56 potential targets. Do we have a couple that are the most promising that we're sort of maybe prioritizing over some of the others?
I think I certainly have not seen the ones they marked overnight, but we have been continuing to relook at those targets when we are not on watch and download the data and reprocess those. It gives a slightly better image when it goes through its computations. So we are still continuing to prioritize those, and I'm not sure what the status is of all 56 of them, but we're going to sit down as a group definitely after we finish these 4 lines and see if any of those warrant going back over like we did during our transit last night.
Right, so last night we went back over target 36, right?
We actually covered a bunch.
Oh, we did?
Yeah. Some we could see, some we couldn't see, and that definitely ruled out 1 or 2 as being geologic.
Cool.
So it was very productive.
All right, so I'm intrigued by this volcanic activity thread. And where did it go? It looks like Mount Matavanu is an active volcano, and it's on the island of Savaii in Samoa. Don't quote me on those pronunciations, but the most recent eruptions were between 1905 and 1911. And I was reading earlier about Samoa a little bit, and I'm thinking it might have been the same one. There was an eruption that occurred over the course of several years, and it actually covered several villages at the time, but the lava was flowing so slowly that it didn't harm anyone. It just sort of pushed people away from its path. It's kind of interesting. I've never seen or been near an active lava flow. Has anyone in here?
Not I.
Not you.
But witnessing like a volcanic, well, not a really active volcano, but you know, that's definitely a bucket list item. You know, to get to see something that's with where the lava's flowing and maybe you know, from a safe distance, watch it, you know, spewing into the air would be pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
In the last few weeks, some geologists announced the discovery of a lava lake. I think it was on an island in the Antarctic.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's the 8th known lava lake that's in existence right now.
Yeah, I wrote that story, or one of the publications
Cool.
that covered that story, yeah. Yeah, and lava lakes are really cool because they are typically near a less active volcano. So they're still active, but they're not like spewing lava, right? It's just sort of this reserve of lava nearby. But the island itself that they found the lava lake at is super, super remote. And so, again, it's only through modern technology that they were able to pick up on it based on satellite imagery and data. It's pretty cool. And they go away after a time, too, right? So we have 8 lava lakes now, and in 20 or 30 years, we could have 5 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of imagined it was more common than that, but...
Yeah, right?
Because I guess in, like, some movies and stuff, you see it a lot, right?
It does have this very dramatic notion behind it, a lava lake. But they might be more common and we just don't even know they're out there.
Does it have to be a certain size to qualify?
That's a good question. Like, do they have lava ponds?
Right.
So a couple of folks have asked whether we've done visual flyovers over any of these targets, and I think the consensus was to continue doing sonar just so that we could finish up these additional 4 or these planned 4 lines and then sort of have a better idea before we spend more time at each target getting a visual.
Yeah, that's correct. The field of view of the camera is considerably less than the sonar, so the sonar can cover a much greater range on either side, much greater coverage. So unless we have a specific target, which we need Argus lined up on exactly to go over, it's more fruitful to continue with the side scan sonar as our main instrument right now. Right,
and so looking at this, the HPAC in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see this grid area, the survey area, which is 2 square miles or just over 5 square kilometers. And it's a pretty big amount of space. So if we were to just sort of hop around from point to point to try and get video over it, it would take much longer than it is to sort of go back and have these scans and get different angles on these potential targets to then be able to rule out, oh, okay, this is a geological feature, probably not worth bringing Argus directly over it, and instead refocusing that attention and effort towards other potential targets. And Dee Dee, you said last night in doing so, we already ruled out several targets that were shown to be geological features.
Correct, and I think we even might have passed over one with the camera, and it was a very large rock.
There's a lot of large rocks down there.
Thanks to those volcanoes.
Yeah, full circle.
And we did see some interesting, you know, the type of lava that you'd see that's slowly moving, that's sort of, I'm by no means know what types of rock there are, but we definitely saw some pretty obvious, you know, this came from a volcano rocks last night. That was so not scientific. I am not a geologist.
I am not one either. I'm not even going to pretend.
Yes. It looks like what you would see walking around in Hawaii. I'll put it, there we go.
Oh, cool. So like that kind of fudge-like.
Yes, there we go.
Yep. Like the other scientific term.
Yep.
I think people are hungry, and we just had breakfast. Fudge, bananas, animal ROVs.
It's the one common denominator between humans, right? Is food and eating.
It's a big event on a ship. Meal times.
Yeah, that's true. It's the one constant in what we do, right?
Yeah.
Pillow lava.
Ah, yes. That describes it.
I don't know. I feel like fudge lava is more appealing, but maybe I'm just having a sweet tooth.
I could go for a pillow right now.
Okay, fair.
How about a neck pillow? That might be nice.
Yep.
I do have
I'll
one.
take that.
I found this great neck pillow, actually. It's not like your standard neck pillow, but it's more of a neck brace. Have you seen these?
Oh, yes, I bought one before this trip.
Did you use it?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh, yes. So it's like this metal frame that you can position in different parts of your neck, and then it has like a fleece wraparound. So it's a scarf neck frame in one.
Huh.
And I slept, I'm not even joking, 10 of the 13 hours from San Francisco to Auckland. It was incredible. Or LA to Auckland.
I'm convinced that everybody wears their neck pillows backwards. I think it you know, I think if you put it on the gap
It
in
should
the
be
back.
under your chin, yeah.
Yeah, then it's under your
100%.
chin, and you know, it's just so much better.
Yeah, when people fall asleep, their heads don't go back.
No.
You always do like the whole like nod, wake up
forward,
thing.
yeah.
So you prevent that with
But
a neck
everybody
pillow.
puts it behind them, and then I just found that really uncomfortable, like on an airplane where
It
it's
makes you lean forward a little bit awkwardly, and yeah, that's
Exactly.
not what you want. You want it to be in front of you.
Have you
I'm with
seen
ya.
Have you seen those like full-on head mask pillow things?
No.
It's like it's like a hat thing that you pull over all the way, and it covers your whole head with a little eye hole area.
It's like a Teletubby
That
head.
sounds too
Yeah,
warm.
Does that feel like you're gonna rob a bank or what?
I don't know.
Too warm.
Yeah, it looks really warm, but you're supposed to be able to like lean back in your chair and maybe like lean forward against the chair in front of you. Put your head on the tray table.
Oh, it's big.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a big head pillow.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't know if I could bring myself to wear one in public, but
It sounds very suffocating.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Sounds
kind of
like a bobblehead.
yeah, a little claustrophobic.
I sat next to this woman on an airplane who had her young daughter with her, and she blew up this like inflatable thing that fit in the foothold, kind of like where your feet go. So her daughter's feet like weren't dangling; they were like on something.
Okay, I'm lame and I got one of those too.
You did? Okay, so
what's-
which do
what's
you
it about?
prefer?
What's the point of that?
I didn't actually use that because I just had my backpack propped up. But yeah, my feet dangle and it's not very comfortable half the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sort of like a mini couch lounger's
Yeah.
thought.
I'm one of those really annoying travelers, and I can like put my feet up in the little seat pocket in front and like tuck your toes in.
What? What?
Yeah,
As long as you don't tuck it on the person in front of you's
Yeah,
armrest,
I
we're
thought-
good.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely never do that.
And if you're just joining us, we are the apparently hungry and somewhat sleepy crew of the 8 to 12 watch on exploration vessel Nautilus off the coast of Tutuila Island, American Samoa, running survey lines with side scan sonar, searching for the wreck of Samoan Clipper, a Pan American Airways Sikorsky S-42B flying boat that was lost on January 11th, 1938.
And have we started on line 18 yet, or are we still turning?
We started.
We started?
Mm-hmm.
So line 18 of 21, hopefully wrapping those up by this afternoon.
Yeah, this will complete the northern section of our initial planned survey area. And as it was mentioned, we'll probably in the next 8 hours or so we'll get to the furthest northern extent, and then probably refocus our efforts. An area that Mike and I have been discussing, we're turning our attention probably to the west. Looking at the archival information that we have, the longitude values they gave only in degrees and minutes, so that one may have been more of a rough estimate. And we know that the currents were running somewhat northeast and or even to due east. The other items of debris that we know were found after the accident washed up on a beach due east of here. So the feeling is that if we try to track back towards their origin, and if they were still somewhat general in their estimation of which way east or west, that will err on the side of the west. So that's probably where we will go next if we don't find Mike a birthday present in the northern section of this survey area.
And so when we do move to that western area, will we still be doing our side scan sonar?
Yes.
Okay. So sort of expanding the initial survey area then.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And nope. As we just said, we have not found the Samoan clipper. We have just started line 18 of 21, and we're in the northern part of our survey area. And we